Hi friends, and thank you for joining this year's Health and Healing Crusade. I'm here with my beautiful little family. Who's with us, Jessica?
So this is Daniel Joseph Vieira IV, named after his daddy and late grandfather. And then we have Giovanni Jeffrey Vieira, who's almost 2 months old.
Now Jessica, she's going to be sharing with us in just a moment a food demonstration on delicious but also nutritious dishes that we can make right in our own home. You know, we're thrilled that you're here, especially in light of what we're dealing with today. These presentations are going to be life-changing, and I know they're going to bless your lives like they're going to be blessing ours as well. Now keep in mind, at the end of this event, on day 3, we're going to be sharing with you the winner of the Champion Juicer giveaway, and we'll be sharing that through an email. And also keep in mind that for each day, the presentations can be watched until 10 p.m. So we're thrilled that you're here, aren't you?
Yes.
Hey buddy, can you say, see you soon, friends?
See you soon, friends.
God bless. Enjoy.
Come when your heart is heavy laden, feeling like the joy is fading. Just come. Come, believing everything I've told you. Here are arms that long to hold you. So just come. Leave behind the mask you're hiding. Here is someone to confide in. I know what you've done. Come, tell me everything you're hoping. Your Father loves a heart that's open. So just come. So you could try to save yourself. I know who you are. Don't try to be somebody else. Come, believing everything I've told you. Here are arms that long to hold you. Won't you come? Come into the joy of living, knowing that your sin's forgiven. Oh, just come. Oh, just come. Just come.
Welcome everyone to this food demo. I'm so excited to be making for you some beautiful, tasty, delicious, vegan, plant-based recipes. I'm going to start off with dessert because life is too short and you should eat your cake and have it too. I'm going to be doing a raspberry cheesecake bar. It is no bake type of dessert, raw, vegan, plant-based, and it's sugar-free. I mean, we have sugar from the dates and maple syrup, but refined sugar-free. So I'm going to first start off by making the crust. I have a piece of parchment paper here that I have cut in on the corners in order to fit the dish better. So you just cut about 4 inches in, and it's a nice little tip I learned, and then you just fold the corners over on each other. So that's ready to go. So that way you can minimize how much oil you use in your desserts. So you can use the parchment paper to lift the dessert or the bars up much easier. All right, so I'm going to start off with some cashews, some raw, organic, unsalted cashews, dates, almond flour. I have a little bit of salt and some coconut oil. All right, we're gonna use this food processor and gonna pulse it. Okay. All right, so as soon as it starts to become crumbly and it starts to stick together, that is when it's ready. You do not want it to become a cashew nut butter. Okay, so now it's starting to clump up onto each other. So beautiful. That's kind of the consistency you're wanting. And then we're going to just put this in here, in this dish. And just mush it in with your fingers. This dish is an 8 by 8 baking dish. You could use a brownie dish too. And you're just gonna make a nice thin crust. And this crust is so delicious, okay? It's, man, I tell you, the crust in a dessert is probably my favorite part. That's what makes a dessert. If you have a soggy crust, the piece of pie or something, forget it. If it's nice and crispy and just the perfect balance of salt and lightly sweet and hearty, oh, that's the best. That's the best. Okay, so now we're going to make the cheesecake filling, which is a whole lot of coconut. So I'm going to put that in the Vitamix. You actually can use the food processor to make it even easier. I like how smooth this recipe comes out with a Vitamix, because a Vitamix really makes it very smooth and creamy. But you can just use the food processor for this part too. Okay, so I'm going to have the rest of the coconut oil here and full fat coconut milk, unsweetened. It's about half the can of organic coconut milk, maple syrup, vanilla extract, and this is alcohol-free vanilla extract, lemon juice from fresh lemons at the Bella Vita Orchard, soaked cashews. This is important to soak your cashews for people who have sensitive digestion. And usually we like to soak cashews overnight. I didn't soak the cashews for the crust, but that's okay because it makes it nice and dry and a little more firm. But if you're somebody who has some digestion sensitivities, then it's probably best that you separate your fruits from vegetables, that you definitely drink before meals and well after meals, so you can really enhance your digestive enzymes, and then soaking all your nuts, because using a higher amount of nuts in a recipe, that can sometimes be an issue for some people who have sensitive gut. So these cashews were soaked overnight and drained, and I think I have everything in there, so I'm gonna now blend it so it's nice and creamy. All right. Okay, so, this tastes amazing. Okay, I'm not gonna lick my fingers because that's poor hygiene, right? But this is a very delicious filling for these cheesecake bars. So I'm just gonna pour this over the crust here. And I'm not so much of a baker, honestly. I would prefer making a no-bake item. I love to cook, but man, baking, hats off to all you bakers out there, people who bake bread and pies and cakes and all that kind of stuff. It's really a science and an art combined. Temperatures have to be right, ingredients have to be spot on. So that's not always my forte, but I really do appreciate and admire people who bake and do a proficient job at it. This is a really delicious recipe because it also has a bunch of raspberries, and raspberries are superfoods. They are high in flavonoids and polyphenols. A lot of these phytonutrients that can also help fight viruses and enhance your immune system. When you're going to freeze this recipe, and it certainly is still good to eat that the next day, the following day, but the raspberry juice is going to bleed out into the surrounding filling area, which is okay. And raspberries actually do very well when they're frozen. I think better than strawberries. So this recipe is actually inspired by Bakerita Rachel Connors, and she uses strawberries, but I love raspberries. So we're gonna fill this up with raspberries, and then you can freeze it overnight, or at least for 3 to 4 hours. You want to freeze it. Okay. I will use 2 hands here to speed this up. But wow, it looks amazing. And this is a Whole Foods dessert. There you go. All right, once it's done freezing, solidifying, you can just run a sharp knife and cut it into squares, or you could scoop it out with a spoon after it's thawed for a few hours or something like that. So, oh man, this is so good. If I tilt it anymore, it's gonna start to fall out. All right, well, that is my first recipe for you guys. I hope you make it at home and enjoy. You're going to receive free downloads of all these recipes so you can enjoy it at home. All right, everyone, so the next recipe I have for you is an orange ginger tofu stir fry. So we really wanted to bring to you some simple, easy recipes that are wholesome, whole foods based, and things that our family regularly eats. So I'm going to start prepping some vegetables here, and then we're going to go to the stove and I'll show you how to water saute. So I have cabbage here. I've already cut that up. And I have a bell pepper here. I'm just going to slice this and give it a rough chop. And did you know bell peppers actually have more vitamin C than an orange? They're very high in vitamin C. All right. And then I have some Asian mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms here. I'm just going to give them a rough chop. And I've already prepped my garlic and ginger, but I'm going to show you how to grate ginger. You always want to peel or slice the tough, fibrous skin off of it. And see that nice yellow part. And then you just grate it. So the juices really come out nicely when you grate the ginger versus just chopping it. So I use a little microplane. You can convert that cheese grater into a root grater so you can get some use still out of that. But yeah, so just grating like that can really, really open up a world of flavor from ginger. And ginger is very anti-inflammatory. It's very fresh, bright root, that seasoning that really livens up your dish, especially for Asian foods. All right, so I'm gonna take these over and water saute them. Okay. All right, so I have the stove on. So water sauteing is using a small amount of water to create steam and to help really break down the food so it cooks better without using a lot of oil. So I'm going to start off with the garlic that's been chopped. And the grated ginger. And just gonna water saute that. So you can saute onions and garlic this way. You can saute all your vegetables this way. You don't have to use oil, but you just wanna let that water saute for a few minutes, and then you can add in the rest of your vegetables. So I have your purple cabbage here, bell peppers, and then mushrooms. And we're gonna let that cook for a few minutes until they soften up. And you definitely want to keep water on hand. So you want to keep adding a little bit of water just so it doesn't dry out and then all the food starts sticking to the pan, because then that is kind of a pain. All right, now that you see it's almost done and it's steam sauteing, I'm gonna add some juice from an orange, but before that I'm gonna zest it so it really brightens up the flavor with some nice, beautiful orange zest. Okay, and I'm gonna do the other side too. And I tell you, if you really want to get good orange flavor, don't just add orange juice or lemon juice, add the zest. And there's plenty of phytonutrients in the skin of citrus fruit. And in fact, there's no acid in the skin. And so it's, for somebody on an acid reflux diet, they can still get lemon and orange flavor by just using the zest of a citrus fruit. The juice, of course, is acidic, but it does assimilate and digest more to an alkaline state in the body. But sure, if you have acid reflux or GERD, it can trigger that. And you may want to be careful with that. Okay, so I'm gonna scrape some of this zest off here. And then you see how this vegetable saute mixture is starting to dry up, so the juice will help loosen that from the bottom of the pan. And then we're going to also add in coconut aminos. Coconut aminos is slightly sweeter than Bragg's or soy sauce or tamari, and much less in sodium. So it's a really beautiful, lovely umami flavor that you can add to your stir fries or any of your Asian dishes. Since coconut aminos is sweeter, it has some of that coconut nectar in it, it can stick to your pan a little more, so it can make it a little more sticky. So you don't really want to cook for a long period of time in that. All right, we're gonna move this over. Okay, so we're done with our lovely saute, and I'm going to plate with some black sticky rice. And black rice is very high in anthocyanin. It is a very powerful phytochemical and antioxidant. And you're just going to plate this. I'm just going to plate this on the dish here. And then I have baked tofu. I put this on parchment paper on a baking sheet and baked it for 350 degrees for 30 minutes in some coconut aminos. You can also use Bragg's amino acids if you want to. And I highly recommend when using soy products to try to use organic soy products and non-GMO. You can also marinate the tofu in coconut aminos, grated ginger, and pressed garlic too to really bring out the garlic ginger flavor of this dish. And so we're just going to plate the vegetables on. And I know there's a lot of misinformation about soy, so I'm here to defend soy for you today. The literature is actually very favorable in the health benefits of soy. There are actually beta and alpha receptors in our body. And so soy or soy products like tofu and edamame, tempeh, I'm talking about more whole food soy versus processed soy products. The whole food soy products have phytoestrogens, so they mimic the estrogen in the body, but they bind to beta receptors, which have favorable health effects, so they can improve bone density and improve new bone formation. They are actually safe and effective in post-breast cancer survivors. And soy is eaten all over the world, and especially in Asia where they have way less rates of breast cancer than they do here in America, especially for the young people who've grown up eating soy. They have much later chances of getting breast cancer. So we eat tofu and soy products, whole food soy products, and organic soy milk that doesn't have additives like carrageenan or guar gum in them. So in our bodies, we have estrogen receptors, both alpha and beta receptors, and soy contains phytoestrogens, and those bind more towards the beta cell receptors, which are more health protective to us instead of binding to the alpha receptors, which our own hormonal estrogen binds to more, and that can cause some problems. But they've done repeated studies on the benefits of soy, especially for breast cancer patients. So even women who've had estrogen positive tumors, cells, and estrogen negative cancer cells, they were able to still receive health benefits from eating soy afterwards. And eating organic soy can increase your chances of survival long term after having breast cancer, and it can decrease recurrence of breast cancer. Soy can also help with improving new bone formation and bone density. And so there's a lot of misinformation, and it seems like that stems from Sally Fallon of Nourishing Traditions. She wrote a cookbook, and her and another researcher wrote a whole article on all the negative effects of soy and what it can do. Certainly there's some things that can go wrong in the mouse studies that we've seen, but again, we don't have the same kind of bodies or hormone receptors as rodents. So it turns out soy is actually pretty beneficial. At Bella Vita Lifestyle Center, we don't use any soy products though, because we know that people come with autoimmune conditions or food sensitivities, and soy is definitely prone to be one of those food sensitivities. Not as high of a food allergen as milk per se, but still, nevertheless, people can react to it. Ellen White talked about eating beans for nourishment, and some people may not react very well to dried beans. Soy comes from edamame, which is a dry bean, but it's still a really excellent source of protein and a very rich, healthful food for our bodies. So the next dish I'm going to make you is going to be sushi hand rolls, so stay tuned for that. Hi everyone, so for the last recipe I have for you guys today is a fresh sushi hand roll. And since we've been on lockdown, we have been going to restaurants, and one of our favorite cuisines is Japanese food, especially Okotime, which is a wonderful little hole-in-the-wall restaurant in Ukiah, California, and certainly offers some amazing, delicious vegan sushi rolls. So we're going to make for you today a sushi hand roll. And I'm going to start off with making a cashew cream cheese. If you have vegan cream cheese at home, you can skip this step and just use that. But it's nice to make your own cream cheese because you can also have it on hand for later use. All right, so I'm going to start off with some soaked cashews. This is a cup of cashews. And I soaked them overnight. And I'm going to put salt in and a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of water. And you want to make it kind of like a paste. All right. Okay, so we're done with our cashew cream cheese, and you definitely want it to be a thicker consistency, so you don't want it to be runny. It's going to help close the sushi hand roll for you. All right, so let's build our sushi hand roll. We're going to start with some white rice, and I definitely highly recommend the brand Lundberg, and they're very transparent about where their rice is grown and even testing it for arsenic, because I know that's been a concern in the past. And then you're going to build it more with some tofu that's been soaked or marinated with coconut aminos. I want to use some avocado, and one way you can tell a good avocado is by picking off the little top stem, and if it is green inside, then most likely the avocado is all fresh and ripe and no bruised spots. Okay, so I'm using a paring knife, and the two knives in the kitchen that you really all need to worry about is just a paring knife and a chef's knife. So those are really the only two knives you need in the kitchen to do anything. I'm going to add in some bell pepper, some carrots, a little bit of lettuce. And the nice thing about hand sushi rolls, you can add your favorite vegetables. So you can do spinach instead of lettuce. You can do cilantro or mint. I'm going to use a little bit of cilantro from our garden. And then we're going to finish it off with a little bit of the cashew cream cheese in the corner. So I'm creating a little bit of a diagonal line here. And I have the vegetables and rice at a diagonal too. So you're going to start rolling it like this, and then swing it around and finish it off so it's a bit of a cone like that. So this is your fresh sushi hand roll. And I'm going to take a bite because it looks so good. This is so delicious, and I hope you guys make it at home. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and I look forward to hearing the rest of the presentations and the speakers that are here with us today. I know it's going to be a life-changing health crusade and really infused with a lot of spiritual gems throughout. So please make sure to download these recipes if you try them, tag Modern Manna if you make them, and we look forward to seeing you soon, you guys. God bless.
Jessica, thank you for that informative presentation on how easily we could take care of our bodies and boost our immune system with fresh, living foods. Friends, I hope you've been enjoying these presentations that we've been providing you. Continue to watch because we have more amazing presentations on their way.